Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are so thrilled that today we're having a talk with a GSE with Unified Technologies, hosted by myself, Jason Malongo. We have an exciting topic that we're covering today, redefining dental leadership. Why does a dental MBA matter in 2026 and beyond? First, before we get started, I have to just bring on our panelists and we will start off with Shelby, if you wouldn't mind coming on, introducing, saying hi to everybody, and then we'll go through David and Charles.
Hi, it's so great to be here. We started the Global School of Entrepreneurship to address the need of entrepreneurs and others like entrepreneurs who may not be able to travel the same academic journey that everybody else. And so we created a way for entrepreneurs to get their education in a new way.
We're really thrilled as well. We have with us the chairman and co-founder of GSE as well, David.
Hey, awesome to be here with everybody. And we're really excited about the opportunity to bring a new way for dentists to go in and elevate their practices by marrying their great technical skills with a business education to elevate themselves, their team, and others. And of course, give an amazing patient experience, because I imagine that's what all dentists are here about. So really excited to be with you, Jason, Charles, and Shelby, to chat a little bit about redefining the dental practice here in 2025.
Thank you so much. And with us, it's Charles.
Hi, I'm Charles. I'm the founder and CEO of Unified Technologies, as well as the owner's chair. I'm excited to be here to share a little bit about why we started this journey back in early 2024 and look forward to exploring the challenges that dentists have, whether they're purchasing or building a new practice, maintaining and growing their practices as well.
Fantastic. Then thank you so much for that. And I myself am Jason Malongo. I'm the CEO and founder of Hey Taylor Marketing. So it's a healthcare growth marketing agency specific for dentists. Okay. I want to ask first, GSE, maybe we'll pose it to Shelby. If you wouldn't mind telling us, what is GSE? And then we'll go from there. Dave, Shelby.
Yeah, and Shelby, I'll take a first crack at it. The Global School of Entrepreneurship for Shelby and me was born out of love to say, how do we create a university that's accessible to professionals that are looking to marry their professional expertise with some business acumen? And here's what we know. Professionals today are so darn busy. They needed a new way to get an MBA. And the beautiful thing about the Global School of Entrepreneurship is we created that virtual platform and a curriculum that made it accessible for professionals like dentists to be able to get that credential, that comma MBA at the end of their name. And that's really exciting for us because we believe anyone should have the opportunity to access the latest in MBA thinking today to augment themselves and augment their practice and have a better experience integrated in their life. And Shelby was the visionary to create that platform, and we've built it in a really neat way specific to dentists. So Shelby, talk about that journey, and it's been a blast co-creating this opportunity with you.
Thank you. I can't tell you how much it's been fun with you. It's been a really neat way to reimagine education. And typically there's a large group of people who would have loved to have gotten an MBA, but it wasn't in their traditional path. And so we've been able to recreate it, to reinvent it, to reimagine how we can get education that's really pragmatic and practical, useful, not theoretical education in the hands of people who really want it. And dentists are a perfect example of this. You find yourselves pursuing your passion for dentistry, and then all of a sudden you find yourself in business. And so how do we marry those two things to give people the tools that they need to be successful in their endeavors, in their business of dentistry?
Excellent, Shelby. So that's super exciting. You've given us the academic background here, and now we'll go over to the industry expert. And so, Charles, if you tell us a little bit about what is Unified and what's your experience within the dental market?
Yeah, so Unified Technologies actually was built because my wife is a dentist. And when we were building out her clinic, I found that the IT companies that we were dealing with just weren't the right people. They weren't meeting our expectations. So we started our own IT company that's catered towards the dental industry. Funny enough, after many years of this, a lot of the dentists that we serve in building out either their first practice, second practice, or even retrofitting a new practice that they had purchased, I started to get questions from these new business owners. Hey, or do these numbers look right? Is my production meeting where I should be after opening my practice and running it for 2 or 3 years? I'm struggling to raise my production. How do I lower my expenses? What should I do for marketing? Like, it's all the questions that I was being asked were centered around the business of dentistry, nothing to do on the clinical side, because obviously you can't provide any help in that aspect. But from the business side, because of owning a clinic and then knowing that we were quickly able to scale that office, a lot of these people now turned around. Now we're asking for business advice, actually giving me their financial statements and me teaching them even how to read a financial statement or a balance sheet. And so that's how Unified Technologies first started, but it's now evolved into now this collaboration, which I'm super excited about.
Yeah.
Excellent. We've really touched on that the dental profession is something that is very clinical, very expert, very focused on healthcare and patient centric, but the business aspect has been a gap that's been needed to be bridged. Maybe, Dave, you want to talk a little bit about what is the gap that you see in the market and what is it that you see that dentists are looking for and why you brought this to market?
Yeah, when I think about it, right, most dentists, right, want to go in and help patients create an environment that's nurturing, fix the issues that they have, but they probably never envisioned when they went to dental school all of the other aspects of running a business. So, what we think about with the Global School of Entrepreneurship is how do we equip them to really unlock the potential of their practice, to allow it to trickle over so that they are able to enjoy life and pursue their passions and have the latest thinking around how do you attract patients? How do you lead team members in your organization? How do you select the talent to make things happen? And as Charles was talking about, how do you then ensure your productivity matches what you want in you and your other professionals so that you can create that run machine? And we saw that gap out there where individuals going to get a dental degree don't get that level of training in business. And we think with the Global School of Entrepreneurship, we can give them their latest thinking to unlock their profit potential of their practice, which ultimately is a better experience for their team members, their patients, and then themselves to enjoy life. Because for me, when I think about it, is if I'm pursuing a passion of delivering a great result, I want all the tools that allows me to enjoy life outside of work as well. And I think that's the gap we see. And we need to make it accessible to dentists to make that happen.
That's it. So I love that you've talked through what you're seeing and how the school GSE is really so interested in this area. Charles, could you talk to us a little bit about what you're seeing with the rise of DSOs, perhaps in the market? How does that play a role?
Yes, dental service organizations, or essentially large chains of dental clinics, it's given rise to a few things, right? Now, it's gone away from just being a one clinic, one business type of model to now where large companies, usually backed by private equity, are going out and gobbling up many clinics at a time. The business side of dentistry in a case like that in a dental service organization is often being either mentored or being forced upon a dental office, because now you have people who are strictly there for profits and minimizing expenses, really driving what or how treatment is being put upon the patient. Unfortunately, there's a good side and bad side to that. The good side is that it's really good for shareholders, and it's really good for the business of dentistry, but it's really bad when it comes to now the dentists who are out there in the market, because now they feel like either they're not equipped enough on the business end to be able to compete against these types of large companies. And it's also, they feel that if I don't do something, they will lose out to the chain that's opened up next door to them. Now that causing them to make sometimes hasty decisions, whether it's trying to outcompete a company like that in terms of marketing, whether it's trying to overpay their staff, because these DSOs, unfortunately, have the backing of large sums of money to pay larger salaries to the workers. And because of that, we've gotten a lot of questions of how am I supposed to compete? How am I supposed to be able to stay in business when they've opened up next door? And it's very simple if you understand business, because even the DSOs have to play by the business rules. All right. Business is business, right? And this is where I see this program being so valuable to dentists, that they may be excellent clinicians, but unfortunately, they may not be good entrepreneurs. And this is where it's going to really level up the game.
What I love is, and then imagine getting dentists together in a cohort, learning business together, right? That's another key tenet of the Global School of Entrepreneurship. Let's put individuals together that are trying to level up their business acumen and do it together. And that's how we design the curriculum, is to be catalytic learning, right? Dentists are amazing learners. They're incredibly bright individuals. And if we put them together with just a little bit of input about the latest thinking in business and put them together, that's when the magic happens. So it allows those dentists to compete, whether it's against multi-office enterprises, private equity-backed individuals. It allows them to compete and even give them the tools to dream even bigger of saying, what if I wanted to own 2, 5, 7 practices? It puts that within reach. So for us, there's this really cool thing of bringing dentists together with a great curriculum, giving them the confidence to go compete. And that's pretty cool. And that's our inspiration for collaborating with you, Charles, is we know that can unlock opportunities. And at the end of the day, education is about opportunity. And that's what inspires us every day when we think about the curriculum we're bringing here to this program.
Where I get really excited is the format that we've come up with, this cohort format that we've been able to implement. The way we like to say is it lets the student work on their business while they're working in their business, which is such a key here, because this is such a different way of approaching education. You don't have to leave your business for 2 years, your practice. How can you do that? It's not possible. So while you're working on your business, you can be working in it, and you can use the homework to help further their business right then and there in a real-time situation. You can include your colleagues and your staff members, your team, with you in your homework as part of your discussion, and implement it into your learning. So it's such a great way to do it. It's simple, it's virtual, it's a way to be able to keep going and yet put things into action and into motion right away.
Shelby and David, like, I totally agree with what you're saying, is that, you know, through the education that the dentist will receive through your program, it will give them more confidence, because I see so many dentists are so scarce-minded when it comes to their business, but when they are in front of a patient and filling a tooth or extracting a tooth, they're so confident because they have the education. And through this education now, I think it's going to take them from a scarcity mindset to one where it's more abundant. They'll be more confident because of that. And through that, again, like David, you had highlighted, whether they want 2, 3, 5, 7, or even more locations, they'll have the confidence to be able to go and do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, whether it's marketing techniques that are specific to dental practices. In an MBA program, we cover all the bases of a general master's in business administration. That's what our charge is to do. But by doing it with specialization, with a dental cohort, the discussions within the group are very specific to the use case of the actual students. So if we're talking about the principles of marketing, that's fantastic. But how does it apply to me as the dental practitioner? So that's what the discussion is. Now let's look at that and the real world application of marketing techniques for a dental practice, for example.
And I always look at it from, don't make the mistakes out there using your business. Learn from this program and avoid those pitfalls as much as you can.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah, you can tell we're all passionate about what we do, right? And that's what's fun. It's contagious, right? But when we think about it, Charles, you hit on it. I always think about when we're confident, we know we will go and pursue big things. And that's really what we're trying to do with this program is give that business confidence because the technical, practical competence and confidence is there. Let's just unlock that next level of impact in the dental practice. And it's exciting to be on this journey. And we're excited about those dentists that see the value that are going to join us in those first few cohorts to make a difference in their lives and in their practice and in their communities. Because that's the beauty. You know, when we think about dental health, it is a community enhancer. So our job is to bring education to the dentist so they can do what they do, which is enhance lives of their patients. Because we know great dental hygiene and great ability for someone to have teeth that they're proud of gives them the confidence to go out and achieve their objectives. And that's what dentists unlock every day. So our role is very small. Give them the business confidence so they can do their job that just ripples out into their community. And that's what it's all about.
Maybe we should talk a little bit about the format. We use the Oxford tutorial method of teaching, which is not lecture-based. There's the understanding that the case study method is one way of doing things like Harvard does and many other schools, which is a really great way of doing things. However, because we're cohort-based, we use the Oxford tutorial method, which is much more about the discussion. So the faculty member, the professor who's leading the group is really leading a discussion about the subject matter at hand. There's not a test in that sense. Your test is demonstrating that you've done the pre-work and you've done the homework and you have a command of the topics. And so that's how we judge whether somebody's mastered it or not. And part of that is participating in a group discussion with your cohort, which is just what we're doing here now. It's really sharing experiences and talking about how pragmatic something is. Okay, you learn something about a management technique, but how does that really play out in real life? And then you have this opportunity to discuss it with your peers and say, how did that work for you? Or I found this worked for me. A lot of the learning actually comes from learning from one another and being in a group of peers.
Yes. Yeah, I totally agree. I think when it comes to even the dentists themselves, when they first started out in dental school, they're probably freaking out when they have to inject their first anesthetic or pull that first tooth. And I'm sure a lot of them probably had shaking hands. It's just that the patients didn't see it. I see this program as something like that as well, that, hey, do all the shaking, ask all the questions when you're in this cohort. Let's share what I did and I got this to work, but I'm missing this portion. Does someone else have a solution for this? And that method of learning is just so invaluable when it comes to experience, because we're talking about experience, right? And no textbook can teach experience better than us going out and actually doing it and sharing, hey, this worked for me, but this did not work. Somebody else saying, hey, that didn't work for me, but this worked for me. And just going back and forth with that. It's just invaluable.
So this really speaks towards the format, like as Shelby was saying, that GSE has put together. I want to just dive in a little bit to some of the curriculum focus and maybe talk a bit about the capstone because it ties directly to this practical experience. So when we look at the curriculum that GSE put together, we see leadership and organizational culture. We see financial management for dental practices. We see growth, strategy, and scaling, patient experience and marketing, legal insurance compliance, innovation and tech in dental and dentistry. Anyone want to share what part of the curriculum they're most excited about and what they think dentists will love the most about this? Charles, I'll start with you.
Yeah, like for me, it would be leadership. I think without leadership, you really can't do anything else. And being a good leader, it will feed the culture of the entire office. Oftentimes when I go into dental clinics, unfortunately, I see the dentist at the top, and it's just really about barking orders. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? You should be doing this, shouldn't be doing that. But then when they turn around to their patient, they're smiling, and the patient has no idea. And it's sad to see, like, the dentist for sure must be so stressed that they're having to wear this fake smile while in front of the patient, but then turns around and to the rest of their staff, they're just barking orders and just complaining. But I really think that leadership for them is just the most important. And it's so amazing that this curriculum has that as one of the key points.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, for me, when I think about it, and this isn't a politician's answer because you asked for one, but what I'll tell you is basically, I love the continuum of the intentionality that we designed this curriculum specific for dentists, and each of the classes create an entire holistic curriculum. And that's the beauty of this particular MBA is we designed it as an accredited MBA specific to dentists. And each of the core classes resulting in that final capstone that demonstrates your mastery of all of the subjects is just an intentional journey through a business enterprise specific to dentists, resulting in a capstone project. So for me, leadership high up there, Charles, I'm with you, but then it's how it's stitched together in this holistic curriculum that gives someone that confidence once they conclude that capstone to go, yes, I mastered a curriculum that is accredited to earn a master's of business administration, but it was specific and specialized, designed for me, going through that journey with peers that gives me the confidence. And so that's why I'll stitch that all together. And that's why we're excited about the entire curriculum with highlights along the way, like leadership that Charles talked about, that make a huge impact in the culture of the enterprise.
Yeah, I totally agree. You can't, there's no one thing that you can take out from your current curriculum. Everything is needed. And I totally agree that each one of those are not only geared towards dentists, but they're all great topics in learning where should my attention be as a business owner in order for me to have a successful business. You can define it in many ways, but at least for me, it's one that I don't have to be always so consumed, not only working in the business as a dentist and seeing patients, but also now going and making sure that my SOPs are there, or if I have any, making sure that my phones are being answered properly, that the bookings being performed properly, that any recalls or treatment finders are being followed up on. So I don't have to worry about that because I know where my attention should be in order to have a successful business.
100%, Charles. And I think it's when we think about that curriculum, it's why Shelby coined this great term, right? It's a new way to MBA. And that's what we're talking about here, a holistic experience in a way that makes sense. And I think that's what's great about our particular curriculum.
And I like what Shelby said earlier, that in each one of these sections, you can really have that class and then you can go and really apply it the very next day in the clinic, right? And see and test it out. Did this work? Oh, you know what? John over here says he's doing it this way. Oh, you know what? I'm going to try that and see whether it works here. Right. It's great that we're able to do that because of how this program was put together.
That goes right into the capstone discussion because fully 1/3 of this program is a capstone project that each individual student works with the professor to define and shape. It gets approved by the professor. It says, okay, I have this, I want to scale my practice. So I'm going to do a capstone project that's going to put that plan together. Or I really want to do a marketing plan for my business, for the practice. I really want to do a hiring and retention plan. I would like to do a processes plan to put administrative processes in place that are more efficient for my business. I want to look at how AI is going to affect my business, et cetera. Anything that the student looks at that says, I need to do some research or do a project or do a plan that's going to help me further my business can be shaped into a capstone. And that is an individual project that each student takes on. We still meet during the cohort, have the cohort meets together during the process of the capstone, because then everybody shares out their progress on their capstone project and they learn from each other. They say, hey, I've got somebody you should talk to about that. Or I have a document that I've done that you might want to look at. Here's some processes that I use that you could incorporate into your project and learn from. So this sharing out, bouncing things off of each other with the guidance that the professor is just as much a part of it as the first part of the program, which is reading, writing, and getting together with the cohort to discuss those key concepts of a business degree. Now we're putting it into play in real time with a real project that means something meaningful to the individual student.
Thank you. Thanks, Shelley. So when we talk about the MBA, we talked about the curriculum components, we talked about the capstone, but we want to know, how long is it?
That's a good question.
No. Yeah, happy to. Obviously, there's the orientation process that gets everyone together as a cohort. Then they're going to go on that 12-month to 18-month journey, depending how long the capstone project takes to get done, build connectivity with that cohort, and then deliver that capstone. And then the beautiful thing is, once you go on that journey, is comma MBA after your name and that fun graduation ceremony. And Shelby can talk a little bit more about the details and how the structure and the rhythm of it is, but that's the journey dentists will be on as they go through this particular program.
The program is divided up into 3 parts, and we just talked about the capstone is the final third of the journey. The first part is the core classes. If you think of an MBA, that would be in the pillars of management, leadership, communications, marketing, finance, that kind of thing, understanding the fundamentals of business. And of course, it's always overlaid with the specifics of the dental practice. Then there's what we might call the electives in a traditional sense. These are the kind of drilling down on more specifics. That's the second third. So there's more focus on fewer courses, but deeper dive into some of these topics. And then the final third again is the capstone. So it's divided up into thirds. It's easily digestible, shall we say. We meet once a month as a cohort. We found that's a really good cadence for adult learners, for people who got other things going on, like running their business in the middle of all this. So the cohort meets once a month with reading and writing submitted through our learning management system in between. And then the discussions with the cohort and coming to that class is just as important as what you submit through the platform. That's how we grade you, essentially. That's how we determine whether you've mastered the business administration.
Thank you. And earlier this year, you were at one of the largest dental conventions in Canada. You're out there busy meeting with dentists on the trade floor, talking to them about the MBA. Can you tell us some of what they were saying and what they think of this MBA?
Yeah, a number of them came to the booth, and it was very fun actually to meet them, because what I had seen practically from these new dentists who either became an owner through purchasing a practice or building a practice, versus some of these dentists who were either still associating or still in dental school, were also approaching us because they felt that they weren't equipped from a business standpoint to either own or to partner with somebody in order to become an owner. So we had people from that perspective. A few other perspectives were, well, the hygienists are also able to own their own clinics. And do they have the same challenges? Absolutely. They're a professional in the dental industry who don't get any business training, right? They're taught how to clean teeth, they're taught how to take x-rays and whatnot, but they're not taught how to own and run a clinic as well. And then there's another group of people who we didn't expect, to be honest, but they started approaching us. It was a group of people either in management within a clinic setting, so a local clinic, also managers within large DSOs. One of those large DSOs here in Canada, actually, we had a number of people from the largest DSO here in Canada approach us, where they were dental assistants and they went on to take managerial roles within the organization at the corporate level. So it was more in the back office and also from a regional perspective. So some of them may have been overseeing a few offices, but they had said that they had hit a ceiling and there's no way for them to continue on up the corporate ladder. And because of that, when they approached us, they said, do we think that taking this would help them to further their career? And we said, absolutely it would. Because now they're not just learning the overall functioning of a business, but now they can deal with the specific departments that these larger companies like the DSOs have, where they'll have a separate marketing department, a separate HR department, a separate clinical department for hygienists, clinical department for dentists. So now they can go on to now becoming a department head, a director. So there were ways to now further their careers through this as well.
I love that. Yeah, that really opens up the possibilities for a number of different customer types, as we call them in marketing, but from different professionals within the healthcare market space. I want to ask you, David, for individuals who are considering taking this MBA, any one of those types that Charles has been mentioning, what would you want to say to those? Someone who's maybe hesitating, sitting on the fence, what would you say to them?
Yeah, to me, there's no time to invest in yourself, right? Oftentimes, when people think of investing in themselves, sometimes they're like, oh, it's selfish. I shouldn't do this. To me, it's selfless, right? The more we enhance our skill set, there's no better time than now to do that. When we invest in ourselves, we then are able to ripple out further to our office members, our fellow dentists that we're practicing with, and our patients. So for me, anyone that's sitting there saying, should I go forward with this? To me, there's no better time than now than to say, investing in myself is always a great opportunity, because as professionals impacting others, the more we invest in ourselves, the more we can ripple out and make the impact that we choose, not only in our business, but in our family lives and in our communities. Because if we think about it, we know professionals like dentists make a huge impact in their community, on boards they sit on, charities that they're a part of, events that they're involved in with their family. And if we can equip them with great business leadership skills, those not only translate an impact in their practice, but they translate an impact in their community in the other ways dentists take on leadership roles. So for me, it's more than just about our dental practice, which is important. It's about how we show up in the other things that we're passionate about. And then we have that next level learning around business skills to help the not-for-profits and charities that we're really fired up about leading and helping, so we can understand their financials, and helping our families and helping other things we're passionate about. So for me, that's where I go. If we're thinking about impact in our lives, not only in our dental practice, but the other things we're passionate about, an MBA can help you do that. And we try to design it in a way that integrated in with their life. So that's what I'd say to them. If they're on the fence, think about how it could impact other parts of your life as well.
One of my most favorite aspects of this is we named this program Mastermind to MBA. And that really encapsulates the passion that we have around community building. It's a mastermind group. So I look at it as you could reverse engineer this discussion and you could say, what a neat thing to be able to gather with your peers in a mastermind group to share experiences and learn new things and understand your business. And masterminds are very popular these days, but there's no college credit for it. At the same time, you're doing a double duty because you're earning a degree out of it. And what happens at the end of this is you have this community forever. You're part of the Global School of Entrepreneurship community forever. And we want to make sure that our students for a lifetime have the tools that they need to learn and grow ongoing, not just in this one time period.
Yeah, and if I can add one more thing, it would be that you're going to gain freedom, right? Whether it's freedom of time, whether it's freedom of money, whether it's freedom of relationships. There's just so many different types of freedoms that will come from this because of the confidence that you gain in not just the business acumen, but actually how to run your business. if you want to be a better clinician, you want to have that freedom to be able to go and do it, you'll be able to do it. If you want to go and just be a business owner, now you can do it, right? Just to give you the example, my wife, for example, she initially started as a clinician and she's slowly taken herself out of the business in terms of the clinical side. If she wanted to fully pull out of the clinical side, she could. Having that type of freedom allows you to go in, as David had mentioned, whether it's contributing within another board, whether it is for another not-for-profit or wherever it is, you have the ability to do so.
Wow. No, this is excellent. And you've really given us so many nuggets and pieces here. How is it that our dentists, our audience can get a hold of you? What are the next steps that they can take?
So to apply to the program is pretty simple. Basically, you go to the website and click the Apply Now button. Now, it's not binding, so just because you click that button doesn't mean you're committing to anything. Basically, you're just getting into our system and you're selecting the program that you want, the dental cohort program that you want to investigate. And you can fill out a quick application, and it doesn't cost any money to fill out. It just tells us a little bit about your background and who you are, and then we can get on the phone with you and talk you through the rest of the program and answer any questions.
David. Oh, good. Now, before we go, what I would love to do is just have a quick rapid fire. There are some questions coming in from our audience. Yeah, if you wouldn't mind, and feel free, whoever wants to go for it, this is rapid fire. So this is just a little bit of fun put together. Okay. And feel free to say who you think or one answer, and then we can unpack it a bit. But first question is it online or in person?
It's virtual. Which is a distinction. It's a very big distinction, actually. Online traditionally is what we would call asynchronous learning, where you don't interact with anybody else. We have some asynchronous learning as part of the program, and we have a virtual program with this cohort where we meet much like this with the professor from wherever you are, and we work the cohorts around so that it's at a reasonable and convenient time zone for the student.
Excellent. Thank you, Shelby. Do I need a dental degree to take?
You do not need a dental degree. What we look for is someone who's had an undergraduate degree, or, and this is a very creative way that we've been able to do it, is we can give credit for lived experience. So if you've run a practice for a number of years, if you've been in business for yourself, if you're a senior executive and have 8 or 9 years of experience, we can grandfather you in with lived experience. So there's many people especially in the entrepreneurial realm, who didn't graduate from undergraduate school even. And we can look at your experience and determine whether or not we can accept your lived experience as credentials for acceptance into the program.
That's fantastic.
Certainly dentists, a degree in dentistry, have an advanced degree, and that qualifies right there.
All right. Other than dentists, who would you say should take this MBA?
Yeah, Charles, you probably have a good
There's
perspective as well.
tons.
Charles, what do you got?
Yeah, I would say managers, hygienists who are looking at owning their own hygiene clinics, people in DSOs who want to further their career and move up to a different position, maybe even a different department that excites them, but they may feel that they don't have enough experience in it or don't qualify according to the DSO standards, whatever standards that they may have. Those are some of the people that I can see who can greatly benefit from this program.
Will I get one-on-one support?
David, you
Yeah,
want to take that?
absolutely. When I think about support in this particular program, I think of support in multiple ways. One, you'll be supported in the journey by your cohort, your peers, right? So there's some great one-on-one support within a cohort. Obviously, you'll have a professor that is guiding you through each of these steps in the learning. And then, of course, where the one-on-one component is the most impactful is in that capstone project, when you're literally working one-on-one with the professor to design and deliver a capstone project. So what I love about it, there's many ways to get that one-on-one interaction inside the community when you need it, and in a prescribed way through the capstone that will lead you from beginning to end to show your mastery that you've delivered over that particular curriculum.
What about individuals who maybe want a low number cohort, something maybe more advanced?
Yeah, typically our cohorts are about 8 people up to 20 people, and that's got so much energy and dynamic aspects to it. And this is obviously the business and master's in business administration. We do have a brand new program that is for students to be able to get their PhD or their DBA, Doctorate of Business Administration. That's much more custom program. That's much more individual program. It's really, think of it as a research project or the capstone project that we talked about earlier that is magnified. It's a much more in-depth capstone project that takes a couple of years, but they can do it on their own with a professor in a small group of up to 4 people or individually. And that is an alternative to the MBA. So there are probably some people who've been in business in their own practice a long time. And maybe they're just like, I've got the basics of running my practice, but I'd like to take it to the next level and get another degree out of it. And at the same time, investigate something further deeper for my practice and for my business and for my life. We can accommodate that through the DBA or PhD program.
Excellent. This one is a funny one. Does it help with my staff issues?
Yes.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. I think we all started nodding in
Yeah.
unison,
Yeah.
100%. I think it goes back to Charles talked about leadership, right? That is one item that will help from a staff standpoint. But one of the things that we think can be an opportunity as we master business understanding of what the economic flow of a business is, we find some professionals like to create a little bit more transparency of the economic model for their staff. And some people go as far as to have almost full transparency of financials, right? So one thing that we find once we understand the business economic model, we can feel more confident in sharing how revenue is generated, sharing how cost of the business impact what goes in the bottom line, right? Because sometimes employees believe, wow, we're generating $1.52 million of revenue. Wow, that's an amazing amount of money. They're not thinking about all the costs associated to generate that revenue, which then creates this financial literacy in your staff to go, wow, now I see what the economic levers are. So what I love about a curriculum that empowers people with business knowledge is then they can become teachers of their staff on how the economics of a dental practice works, which then can usually empower that staff to make even better and more informed decisions about expenses, looking at them in a different way for the good of the whole. Because I think one of the amazing things is once we understand the business at the next level, we start to make more decisions in the greater good of the collective enterprise, which ultimately results in the greater good of the patient.
Wow. Thank you so much, Dave. Next question that we have is, can it help me sell my practice? Yeah.
Absolutely. Understanding that you have put attention in towards the major departments within the business and optimizing them, making them as efficient as you can, that's going to drive up the value of the clinic, right? And in order to be able to do that, though, you have to understand the different departments, where you should put attention, where you shouldn't be putting attention. How do I create a good culture? How do I become a good leader to create this good culture? Where should my marketing be? Am I spending too much? Am I spending too little? There's just so many components, but going through this program will help you to understand those different components so that you can put those optimizations in place and drive up the value of your clinic.
The last and most important question, how much does it cost?
I don't see it as a cost at all. I see it, first of all, as an investment, because as David initially said at the very beginning, investing into yourself there's no time for it, right? Now is the best time. And where other MBA programs costing 6 figures, I think the value that you get with your investment of only $60,000 will translate easily into multiples of $60,000 worth of production. But more importantly, it's going to be able to help you to create more freedom for you to do what you really want to do. And when it comes to that, I strongly believe that $60,000 investment is nothing.
I love your t-shirt says the owner's chair. And that's what we're focusing on here is the dentist sitting not in his dental chair, but in the seat of the owner. And that's, my dad always said, think about things from an owner's mentality, right? And so instilling that into your staff is one philosophy. But if you look at it through this lens, it's taking ownership of your business, of your life, and driving decisions through the chair of the owner from that seat. It's an elevation of a dentist's ability to drive their own life and to take ownership of their own life. And so what's that worth?
Shelby, it's funny that you say it that way because there are many clinics that I go into and the dentist will pull me aside and say, hey, I feel so out of control in this place. And they feel that they're being pulled. When a hygienist comes in, they're feeling that they're getting pulled in that direction. The manager comes and says, hey, you know what, we need more marketing. We're not getting enough new patients. So they're getting pulled in that direction. Oh, here's a bill for all the lab cases, or here's a bill for all the filling material. And then you're feeling pulled that you have to pull out your checkbook. And it's really, Shelby, how you said it is just perfect. It's taking control. Being able to say, you know what, I have this under control is really where it's invaluable to feel that you're confident enough to say, hey, I can make these decisions confidently. And instead of reacting to situations, now you're able to proactively go and be that leader that the clinic needs.
Yeah. We're always pulled on our time and value and where do we spend our time, family, business, et cetera. And I know that I'm hearing it. I can feel it through the screen here that one of the things is, oh my God, where am I going to find the time to do that? I have everything. My life is in chaos. I've got so much happening. How do I find the time? My answer is something that Dave and I know very well from some experiences that we have in entrepreneurial groups, et cetera, is that's exactly the time that we need to invest most in these kinds of tools and this kind of education, because that's how we gain control back over our lives. It puts systems in place. It gives us the tools to do this. And so the most chaotic person, the person's that the busiest, is probably the most ideal candidate for this program.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, really love that. And it's been such a pleasure to be able to walk through all the aspects of what's happening in the market, what you've put together, both from the academic side, from the industry side, and how it's all neatly wrapped together in one program, one cohort built for dentists and starting off toward the end of this year. So really excited for that. And once again, thank you so much, David, Shelby, and Charles. Any last final words you want to say through to our audience? So David.
Yeah, we can't wait for you to experience this journey. We're hopeful that it gives you confidence, it gives you connections to other dentists, and it gives you control of your life. The 3 C's that came out of this, right? And that's what we hope. And we hope you have an opportunity to jump on into a cohort that aligns with your schedule. And let's make it happen. And we can't wait to confer an MBA on you from the Global School of Entrepreneurship. And I can see the signature blocks already, MBA.
Thank you. Charles.
Yeah, I would say don't wait. Really take control of your practice, take control of your life. You've waited long enough. It's now time to take action.
Thank you, Charles. All right. Shelby.
Goes back to the name of our program, Mastermind Your MBA, Mastermind Your Life. It's time to do it. There's no reason to hesitate. You'll be in a group with the people that know how you think and know how you feel, and you'll feel at home right away.
So to everybody listening here today, we're looking forward to making your new home with us here at the GSE and this Dental MBA, where, as Shelby was saying, you'll be part of the GSE family for life. And as we've heard, it's not a cost, it's an investment. And as David said, we look forward to seeing you with MBA. So once again, thank you so much to everybody here who attended. Thank you so much to our panelists as well. We really appreciate your time and have a wonderful rest of the day.